One of the features that's available in the API challenges in the learning mode is the mirror mode. And what the mirror mode does is it just reflects back exactly what you've sent. So if you send a GET request, it will show you the headers. If you send a POST request, it will show you the headers that have gone through, the verb, and the body that's in there, so that you can get used to just making sure that your tool works, debug it going through a proxy, and understand what difference the tools make when you're sending a request. So as an example, it's all at apichallenges.herokuapp.com/mirror/request. Any request that I send through to that URL will be mirrored, and I can run it on localhost, which I'm doing here with localhost, whatever port I'm running it at, /mirror/request. So I'm just going to issue a GET request on this locally using Insomnia. And we can see that we've issued a GET request. There were no query params. Let me put in a query parameter. So Bob equals, let's use the proper approach for doing it. Query parameter, Bob test, send. There's Bob test. It's actually put it on the end there. And if I can see the IP address, which is here, and the headers where we're accepting. Now I've not created any headers, so I can see that Insomnia is adding headers for me. It's adding an accept header where I will accept anything, content length 0 because there's nothing in the body, whatever host we've got, and it's added in a user agent of Insomnia and the value there. Now it's interesting to know these things, to know how the tools differ, to know whether that could have an effect on the system under test. Let's get Postman up and have a quick look at that. So here's Postman. I'm going to do the same thing, get on localhost, mirror request, send that through, and I can see that again we've got the same IP address, we're accepting anything. I can see that Postman has added in an accept encoding. Is that coded in the headers? Let's have a look. Nope, I didn't add any, so 6 hidden, they're added by default. So we can see that it's adding the accept encoding, connection keep alive, the actual user agent for Postman version. It's added in a Postman token, and it's added in the host. So can I switch these off? I don't appear to be able to switch off the Postman token unless possibly I go to settings, then I might be able to do that. I can probably change the user agent, it looks like. Well, I can switch the user agent off. So we have control over some of these. It's important to understand this because it can make a difference to the tooling. The other reason this is important is I'm just going to switch this over to the live version. So I'm going to send it through to the API challenges herokuapp.com mirror request. Send that through. You can see that there's a ton more headers being added. Now these were not added by Insomnia because we've just seen what Insomnia does through localhost. These are being added when it's on Heroku, because one of the things that is missed out a lot during API testing is we believe that we're sending a request. We believe that the server processes the request, and we forget that there are a bunch of interfacing systems in the middle. So we have our notional request, which goes into our API tool or our automated execution system. That can amend the request and add headers as we've just seen, because my initial request was just a GET. I didn't add the headers for the accept anything. Insomnia added those headers for me to help me out. I might want to test what happens if I don't add that header, in which case I have to figure out in Insomnia where that configuration is. We then forget that the hosting service, the HTTP server, can inject headers as it does here. The app server might inject headers. Now the reason this is important is if we're migrating between different hosting services or different environments, perhaps the API will be impacted in ways we don't expect through adding headers, changing encoding. We don't know. And very often we don't have visibility into this level in the system. We forget that this level of risk is here. So the mirror function is a good way of just reminding you of that. It's an easy way if you're running on localhost that you don't need to have a proxy set up in order to see the requests. You don't need to use the built-in tools, because sometimes when I'm using the timeline to see the request, I don't necessarily trust the information I'm seeing, or if I'm using Postman, I may not completely trust the Postman console to show me the messages that have been sent. Over time we grow to trust our tools or not, but having that mirror functionality is just there, an extra check to see, is there something different when I'm using this tool? That's all it's for. But it's a useful reminder that when we are testing, sometimes we have to go beyond just the request, the notional request we're sending, and look at the technical details to see if there's an impact. What happens if, now that it's running on Heroku, I include a via header? Will that impact the application? Should it impact the application? What would happen? Well, 2 headers will be put in, but would the application know how to handle that? Now, sometimes this is what security testers do, because they're much more focused on the technical aspects and the infrastructure to see if there's any security issues there. But being aware of it at a functional level can improve your testing. And the mirror mode is just a little playground for you to see how the tools differ, see how the environments differ, and without having to introduce other tools like proxies.